This is the next step in making art. Not that I consider myself an artiste, but for this particular job, we're going to take this hood to a Chevy truck, I believe, and turn it into a piece of art. So, this is my paintbrush right here.
Montana Society!
So what we're going to do is try to put a couple more holes in it. I think that's a 30-06. I don't have that big of a caliber here now. But I want to kind of get around this area in the center, a little bit on the sides, and make some more holes with some buckshot to tear it up. Very, very artistic. Woo!
Society.
A little bit of that, a little bit of this.
A little bit of that. Now I got a couple of birdies. The blunderbuster. It's a handful. For the blunderbuster.
Whoa.
Ooh. Ooh. Bigger hole than I thought. I couldn't believe I just hit the same spot twice. I wasn't trying to do that.
Same spot again.
I was aiming for the center.
What? You must shoot high.
So,
you just cut your wrist.
Ooh, got me again in the blunderbuster. Anyway,
dude,
we can put a band-aid on that, and then
dude,
we'll be back. This thing, it kicks back so hard, that thing goes all the way down in the hole.
Dude.
So. While I got the blood, I should go just like check my cholesterol and everything. So I was over at the pit, which I made some pictures of, and got some other parts that we're going to use. Odds and ends to fill in some spaces. That's all kind of nothing. So that is part of an airplane. So
you can get all different types of Montana signs.
No, it's got. I want the art up there in that room generally has to be stuff that is from the bunker, could have been used in the bunker, or is from a part of another bunker that was shredded. So I'm trying to use stuff and make it art, like a little baby art museum. So when you go in there, you see, wow, this is from that. Like that hood, they used various things around here to target practice. There'll be a little sign under it for that. You forgot to say, what?
No, you forgot to say something.
What did I say? What I forgot to say?
I chose the one second from the right. And I left it alone. I gave my opinion, walked away. And then a lot of other smart alecky comments were made as I was working for the cause. And then in the end, you chose this one I chose.
Wow.
Happens to be the cheapest. Happens to be the best looking color. And
second from the left looks the best.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Reed was right, and he did a good job picking out the color there. But I, as well, said this is probably the one we're going to use. I just want to add that.
Yeah, I know that was hard for you, so I'll accept that.
All right, you were right. Reed was right. He was completely right. He was 100% right. He's right, and he's extremely not wrong.
Never.
That was very difficult for you. I also know that'll probably get erased.
Oh.
The summer's starting to slow down. That frantic energy that drove the early days, it's softened into something more steady, more reflective. The guys are working, but it feels different, less about survival and more about intention. They're turning a propane tank into a chandelier, taking something industrial, something meant for fire and pressure, and reshaping it into light. It's art, but it's also a statement. See, this place is no longer just a bunker, it's becoming a home, a symbol, a reminder that even the heaviest, roughest things can be transformed. Dean's in a good mood. You can feel it in the way he moves and the way he talks. But underneath all that is exhaustion. A deep, earned tired. That kind of tired comes from carrying responsibility when quitting would have been much easier. This is step 7 in motion. Not dramatic, not loud, just willingness, humility, and steady work. Letting go of what something used to be and trusting that it could become something better.
Oh yeah. It's a fish. It's a minnow or something.
How old is it?
1990. That makes it 30 years old. Oh shit! Oh my god!
Oh my god! It's
How bad is it?
it's like eating a bone
Yes.
stuck between somebody's toes and then forgotten in their shoe for a week in the rain. All right, it's almost lunchtime, and we're gonna have a little addition today. We're gonna surprise the guys. Maybe try to leave the camera on and watch it. But we have found a can, probably several cans, that says fishes on it. And so we opened it up, and it's just a can, it's pretty light. Warren is going to try one for us.
No, he's not. The hell no, he's
I'll give you
not.
$1.
You ain't got that kind of money. Not no, but hell no.
Okay. This fish is incredibly stinky. So we're going to, of course, use it. Put it out for lunch, just to see what the reactions are with everybody. And we've got a good casserole. Kind of keep it away from that to not ruin the smell of the casserole totally. But we'll see what they say. Warren and I aren't going to say a word.
Casserole looking.
Yeah, we got some other hors d'oeuvres too. We added to it.
What the fuck is that?
It's just crunchy sardines. You put them on top.
Dude. Oh, it's good.
Looks awesome.
Look at that. You know,
Sardines, not so much.
One 30-year-old sardine is allowed.
All right, here we are. Fresh blade. We're gonna cut the first half bomb, Armageddon / chandelier from the 500-gallon tank. I've got some firewood underneath it there. Hopefully that's enough where no one will get killed, particularly me. And I've got one small spot to cut, and then it's going to be loose. I'm interested to see what the inside of this actually looks like. Well, here we go, and good luck to all.
While Dean and the boys finish off the summer of 2021 at the bunker, I want to take a quick detour to a local legend, something that supposedly happened right around here. It's one of those stories that gets told like it's common knowledge, like, oh yeah, that's the lake where Hemingway threw the gun. And if you've ever heard Hemingway described in one sentence, it's usually something like this: the world's most famous alcoholic. That's a wild label. Also, not totally unfair. But the story is not just about drinking. It's about what happens when somebody becomes a symbol, and what the land does with symbols. So let's get to it. First, a quick disclaimer. Parts of this story are very hard to verify. Some details are more rumor than record. But legends are still worth studying because they tell you what people need a story to mean. Not what happened down to the minute, but what culture keeps repeating because it finds something deeper. So I'm not going to present this like some historical documentary. I'm treating it like a case study in meaning. And the question is simple: why does a story like this survive? Hemingway is one of those rare artists where the character and the work get tangled together. He wasn't just a writer, he was the idea of a writer. Tough, stoic, dangerous hobbies, big opinions, big appetite. A guy who could drink hard, fight hard, travel hard, and still sit down and produce clean sentences. And the tricky thing is, when somebody becomes that kind of icon, we stop seeing them as a person. They become a container. We pour our own ideas into them. Masculinity, genius, trauma, addiction, discipline, self-destruction. But when people say the world's most famous alcoholic, they're not just talking about how much he drank. They're talking about a whole mythos. The tortured genius who can't escape himself. And yes, Hemingway struggled with alcohol, depression, and serious mental and physical health issues later in life. He also died by suicide. That part is fact. But the legend we're talking about today focuses on a specific moment. A gun, a lake, and a decision. The legend? Well, here's the version that gets told around Montana and Idaho circles. Hemingway's mother supposedly sends him a gun with an implication. If you're going to keep spiraling, you might as well end it. That's the part that grabs people because it's so cold, it's almost unbelievable. And to be clear, I can't confidently say that this part is historically verified. It may be an exaggeration, a distorted memory, or a story that evolved because it sounds like a perfect Hemingway moment. But whether the mother part is true or not, the legend continues. Hemingway takes the gun to the lake not far from here, and he throws it in. Not a pawn shop, not let's put this away, not let's give this to a friend. He throws it in the lake, which is obviously dramatic and also strangely symbolic, like a little private ritual. I'm not doing that. Not today. So why does this story survive? Because it's a story about a fork in the road, and everybody recognizes that feeling. Not in a Hollywood way, but more in a quiet way. The moment where your mind offers you a solution that feels final. The moment where despair pretends to be logic. The moment where you can either obey it or interrupt it. That is what the gun represents in the story. Not a weapon, specifically, a verdict. A sentence someone else writes over your life. And the lake? The lake is what people imagine when they think they're getting rid of something forever. Now let's connect this back to the bunker. If you've watched any of the Montana Society story, you know what the bunker is. It's a physical structure, but it's also a metaphor. A place where men come to work on something outside themselves because their insides are chaotic. That's not a knock, that's just being honest. A lot of people don't know how to sit still with themselves at first. So they build, they fix, they hustle, they distract. Sometimes the work is real, sometimes it's avoidance. And usually, it's both. And that's why a Hemingway legend feels like it belongs near a place like this. Because Hemingway is basically the patron saint of tough guy coping mechanism. Work hard, drink hard, don't talk about it, and keep moving. But eventually, the bill comes due. Here's the part I actually care about. If there was ever a moment where Hemingway chose to reject the worst idea in his head, even for one day, that matters. Not because it makes him a hero, not because it changes how his life ended, but because it reveals something most people miss. Even the person we imagined as doomed had a moment of choice. And that's a better story than the fantastical version, because fatalism is addictive. Fatalism says, this is who you are. This is how this ends. Nothing changes. Legends like this are interesting because they show the opposite. A moment where someone interrupts the script. So what does throwing it in the lake look like in real life? It's not always dramatic. Most of the time it's boring. It's calling someone when you don't feel like it. It's telling the truth when you're tempted to perform. It's eating, sleeping, taking a walk, going to a meeting, going to therapy, going to church, whatever your lane is. It's admitting, I can't drive this thing by myself today. In other words, it's choosing the next right move, not the final move. And I know that sounds simple, but simple is not easy. Simple is usually the hardest thing. So while Dean and the boys are finishing the summer of 2021, understand what you're really watching. You're watching people try to prove themselves through action that they can actually keep showing up. And that's why the bunker matters. It turns abstract change into physical evidence. You can stand there and say that wall didn't exist, and now it does. That mess, it was chaotic, and now it's organized. That hole was a problem, and now it's sealed. It's not that building something fixes everything, it's that building something teaches your nervous system a new pattern. Start, continue, and finish. And that's the opposite of the despair pattern. So is this story true? Maybe. Maybe not in the exact way it's told. But the reason it sticks is because it acts like a mirror. It asks, what's the thing that you've been handed? The verdict, the old script, the family pattern, the identity you've been living inside. And what would it look like to throw that into the lake? Not to erase your past, not to pretend you don't struggle, just to refuse to obey the worst idea in your head, even if it's just for today.
All right, here we are. We think we have found the lake where Hemingway dropped his father's suicide pistol in. And of course, we don't believe it was frozen to death lake, which is way up there at 11,000 feet. So instead, we are here at Little Bear Lake, and as you can see, a lot of bears here. We are here, and we have brought a magnet with us, so we're going to do a little magnet fishing right now off of the rock in which we believe Hemingway threw his father's pistol. Boom, the bell tolls. Page 337. He had put, wow, it's really hailing. He had put the gun back in the drawer in the cabinet where it belonged. But the next day he took it out and he had ridden up to the top of the high country above Red Lodge with Chubb, where they had built the road to Cook City, which is this. He climbed out on the rock, leaned over, saw his face in the still water, and saw himself holding the gun. And then he dropped it, holding it by the muzzle, and he saw it go down in the bubbles until it was just as big as a watch charm in that clear water. I'm calling bull. Frozen to Death Lake's at 11,000 feet. And there's another memoir that says that they just stopped, well drunk, along a road between Red Lodge and Cook City, that's what this is, and he got out on a granite outcropping, which the only one around is the one in this lake, Little Bear Lake. So we're gonna go out here and see if originally his grandfather's pistol is out there. We're gonna magnet fish a little bit. Who knows? People have done crazier things than that. So we grabbed ourselves a really strong magnet and we're gonna fish all the way around here, put it down there to see if we can pull up any steel. So, and once it grabs onto a piece of metal, it won't let go. So if there's anything down there, we're gonna get it. We've been fishing around. I finally heard a click down here. So here we are. Let's see what we got. We got a magnet coming up with something on it. Woo! Oh, baby. Well, it's a piece of gun. Whose is it? I don't know, but that's a piece of a rifle. We haven't been able to find any pistols yet. It was a long time ago, but look at a broken off piece of rifle. It's got a screw broken there. Somebody must have broke it and thrown it in here many years ago. Who knows? Could have been from some kind of criminal activity. I don't know. Or maybe somebody was camping here and it just fell in. But the bottom line is that is not a pistol. So, we're going to keep our hopes up and keep trying. But to us, we're convinced that this is where Hemingway threw his dad's pistol, his suicide pistol, into the water.
Montana Society!